All right, fam, we need to talk about Wizard Rock. Picture this. It's 2007. You're not at a concert hall or even a club. You're actually at a public library. But not for books, but instead because someone in a lightning bolt headband is standing on a folding chair and screaming lyrics about saving Ginny Weasley. And the room is packed. No, this is not a fever dream. This is Wizard Rock. A real genre, a real movement, and somehow really mostly forgotten. Before TikTok cosplay lip syncs, before fan cams, before AO3 tags were longer than your emotional support water bottle, there was Wizard Rock. And in this video, we're going to dive into the rise, the fall, and the absolute beautiful, wonderful weirdness of one of the internet's most magical musical subcultures. And spoiler alert, it still kind of slaps. So, what is Wizard Rock? Wizard Rock, also sometimes known as W-Rock, is exactly what it sounds like. Music inspired by the Harry Potter universe. It was born in the early 2000s when fans weren't just writing fic or drawing fan art, they were forming literal community circles for the fandom and forming actual bands based on the characters. And if anyone here is old enough to remember the height of Wizard Rock, hopefully this video will hit your nostalgia vibes as well. Because we are talking about Harry singing about defeating Voldemort, Draco bragging about his dad, and Moaning Myrtle getting emotionally raw on the mic. So what was the sound like? You can think punk rock with nerdy lyrics, indie folk with sad spells, acoustic duets sung in Myrtle's bathroom. The vibe always tied back into the character or a part of the novel and literature that was being presented at the time. And unlike parody acts or mainstream nerdcore, Wizard Rock was deeply fandom-rooted. It was transformative, very close to fan fiction, but in song form. So let's get into the big four, or what I would consider the bands that define the Wizard Rock scene. First up, we have Harry and the Potters, which was started by two brothers from Massachusetts in 2002. Harry and the Potters performed as Harry Potter, in multiple school years, mind. Their first show was at a public library, of course, incredibly on brand, and they're widely considered with inventing Wizard Rock. Their songs were lo-fi, punchy, and filled with deep lore. Their most streamed song on Spotify is Save Ginny Weasley, with 280,000 plus streams as of this recording. And they're still making music. Their most recent album, Loomis, which includes bangers like Where's Ron and the titular track Loomis, came out in 2019. Next up, Draco and the Malfoys. And honestly, I think this was my first exposure to Wizard Rock back in the day. Created as a direct parody and rival band to Harry and the Potters, they sing exclusively from Draco's point of view. Their sound is a little snarkier. Think pure Slytherin power chord energy, with songs like My Dad is Rich and Potions Yesterday, which are Draco-style roasts aimed straight for Harry. Their top track is still My Dad is Rich, sitting at over 180,000 streams on Spotify at the time of this recording. Next up, we have the Whomping Willows, which, despite the plural name, is actually a solo act. Matt Maggiacomo, who gave us heartfelt and hilarious emo songs from the perspective of a literal tree. Their current top track is Wolfstar, a comedic take on the Sirius Black Remus Lupin ship, and it's nearing 1.5 million streams. But with the popularity of said ship, honestly, that just checks out. And then there was the Moaning Myrtles, a female acoustic duo singing from Myrtle's perspective, honestly, a total vibe. The Moaning Myrtles were a con favorite, mixing humor and heartfelt ballads. Their top track, And Then I Died, has 37,000 streams plus on Spotify. Wizard Rock was not just music. It was community. Fans made zines, burned CDs, hosted house shows, and of course there were the library concerts that we've been talking about. It was hyper-local, hyper-nerdy, and honestly, kind of magical. Wizard Rock also helped form real-world initiatives, like the Harry Potter Alliance, which used fandom as a vehicle for social activism. And of course, it was welcoming to everyone, from queer fans to women to trans and non-binary creators. It carved out a safe space before safe spaces was even a common phrase. And the number of these bands, massive. Check out this list, featuring tons of magical groups all dedicated to the genre. And honestly, some of the names of these bands are absolute fire. I'll put this link in the description below so you can explore and reminisce or just spiral out into a very specific rabbit hole. So, what happened to Wizard Rock? Wizard Rock's golden age fizzled out around the year 2011, when the fandom kind of shifted to Tumblr and fanfic took over. A lot of people distanced themselves from Harry Potter entirely as well because of, well, I guess we'll call it controversy. And the genre as a whole just kind of wasn't what it was, especially as the book stopped being published and the fandom moved to different online spaces. But here's the thing, the music didn't vanish, which I was honestly pleased to find for the research for this video. I kind of thought the genre died, but it never really did. Artists like Harry and the Potters and the Whomping Willows still occasionally release new music. And thanks to places like Spotify, you can discover this whole era of fandom creativity for yourself. Wizard Rock was one of the first fan-led music movements, and it proved that fandom wasn't just about consuming. It was about creating and making new spaces, turning stories you loved into art you could sing along to. It was DIY, unapologetic, and weird in all the best ways. And sure, the songs might sound like inside jokes, but that's because they were. But they were also so full of love and magic. It was community over canon, emotion over polish, and the kind of stuff that makes you feel seen, even if you were just a quiet kid who happened to know too much about Goblet of Fire and could name every single word of every book by heart. Were you a Wizard Rock fan back in the day? If so, leave your favorite band in the comments. Bonus points if you ever saw a live show. And if this is all new to you, maybe start with Save Ginny Weasley and see what all the hype was about. Thanks for coming down this musical, magical rabbit hole with me. And until next time, mischief managed.